Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Oakley 2020 City Council Forum. My name is Greg Robinson. I am the publisher of the Brentwood Press and Publishing Company, and we're so excited to be here tonight with you folks and bring you the the Oakley Chamber of Commerce citizen. Oh my goodness, I'm totally screwing up here. So sorry, everybody. Anyway, I am here to talk about the Oakley City Council Forum, but I'm here with the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce President, Gerald. So Gerald, please introduce yourself and tell them why I'm having such a hard time with Oakley and Brentwood and why you're part of this thing.
Hi, my name is Gerald Johnson. I'm the president of the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce. I'm here because there was no Oakley Chamber of Commerce to help put this on. So Greg said, hey, would you help put this on? And I said, sure, I'd help put it on so I could get to meet all these wonderful city council candidates. So with that, I'm glad to be here and welcoming everybody to come participate. I'm going to turn it back over to Greg.
Thank you so much, Gerald. And again, I want to thank you all in advance for joining us tonight. This will be going until about almost 9 o'clock, maybe a little shorter, depending on how it all goes. But at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Miss Ruth Roberts. She is the managing editor of the press. Ruth is also our mediator for the evening. And Gerald will be bringing her in. And at this point, I'd like to say, Ruth, take it away.
Good evening, and again, welcome. We appreciate the candidates participating in tonight's event, and we look forward to an informative forum. I'm just going to quickly go through the rules for the evening and then introduce the candidates. Each candidate will begin with a 90-second opening statement, followed by a series of 6 questions. The order of the candidates was determined prior to tonight's event, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the question and then move on to the next candidate until everyone's answered the question. Then we'll go on to the question number 2 and so on. There'll be a timekeeper counting you down, candidates, at 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and then stop. And I'll let you go ahead and finish your sentences, but please don't go over or Greg will push the mute button. Just a reminder to everyone that this is a forum, not a debate, so there will be no rebuttals. After all the questions have been answered, the candidates will again have the opportunity for a 90-second closing statement, and that will wrap us up. So let's get started and introduce the candidates. Good luck to everyone tonight. Relax and have a great time. First up, we have Clara Laura, followed by Alexei Chuko. Close. George Fuller. Conan Motes. And Kevin Romick. And Aaron Meadows. Again, welcome candidates. Let's go ahead and get started. Aaron, you're going to begin with your opening statements. You will have 90 seconds.
Thank you, Ruth. I'd like to thank the press and the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce for hosting the candidates forum this evening. A little history about myself. I've spent most of my life living here in Oakley, so I'm not new to this city. I'm the 5th generation of my family to live here. My family's been here a little over 110 years. My wife and I chose to make Oakley our home and raise our family here. I have a daughter and a son. I'm a 3rd generation business owner. My businesses are in construction, real estate, property management, and farming. In the 1990s, I was on the Oakley Municipal Advisory Council, which advised the Board of Supervisors on issues pertaining to Oakley. This was before we became a city. And I was on that until the time we did become the city of Oakley. There's 3 reasons I'm running. Number 1 is public safety. Number 2 is economic development. And number 3 is to work to improve our fire response and our fire department in East Contra Costa County. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexi.
All right. Good evening, Oakley family. My wife and I have been residents here for a very short 3 years, but in all honesty, it pleasantly feels like a lifetime because of the welcoming community that made us feel at home. And now that we're expecting our first, I really look forward to raising our baby girl on the Delta, surrounded by the natural beauty and wonderful people who care about each other. So this year, we all have learned that life is unpredictable and we cannot limit ourselves to the plans solidified many years ago. At the end of the day, even the best laid plans are destined for changes. With the way how the economy and the rest of the COVID-19 will continue to unfold, it is essential for us to be flexible. As a community, we know our challenges, and the main question is how we're going to move forward. We can choose to go slow and steady and move like a heavy train on rails and on a predicted path. Or we can choose to be a jet and fly free and unrestricted by adding dimension and speed to our journey with less restrictions, understandable, transparent, and efficient city government, and municipalities that put you, our residents, as their top priority while allowing businesses that you want and deserve to flourish and thrive in Oakley. This won't be possible without many very important individuals that deserve to be recognized tonight. Our first responders, peace officers for keeping us safe, our city staff and municipalities for wearing many hats and doing more with less, teachers and school staff for helping us raise our children into exceptional individuals, our business owners and their staff for giving us places to fulfill our needs and enjoy our life, and most importantly, our big Oakley family. So this evening belongs to all of you, to your concerns, hopes, and dreams for our city and how we're going to write the new chapter of Oakley together.
Thank you. Claire.
Good evening. I'm Claire Laura, and I've been an Oakley resident for almost 20 years. My public service began in the schools, and my desire to help our community led to the Oakley Leadership Academy, and then serving on the Oakley Police Chief Advisory Committee. I'm a charter member of the Kiwanis Club of Oakley, and I continue to volunteer in our community. Safety has always been a top priority for me, and that encompasses many things. Last year as mayor, I worked closely with our police department and both school districts to ensure safety plans and protocols were updated. The close of my mayoral year would see Oakley rise as the top 16th safest city in California. I am working to help our fire district. Oakley is the only entity in the fire district that has formed CFDs, and we have helped to build 2 fire stations. But I realize that much more needs to be done and methods need to be improved to help the fire district keep our community safe. And I'm up for that challenge. I truly believe that the safety of a city is the necessary basis for all other things to grow, thrive, and endure. I support economic development and will work to attract businesses with living wages. And to help smaller businesses, I've proposed a maker's market to give them a community presence. And I'll continue to provide amenities to our city, such as enhancing our 55-acre park and getting a new library. It will take time, money, and strong working relationships with the county and special district partners to bring these projects to life. These are solid connections that I have, and I hope to continue working with our partners to make Oakley a destination place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Kevin.
Yes, my name is Kevin Romick. My wife and 3 daughters have lived in the city of Oakley for 27 years. I have served on the city council since 2004, and before that I was on the first planning commission. We've seen lots of changes and lots of growth in our community. I also serve on a number of boards that are outside cities. I sit on the board of directors for Transplan, which is an East County regional transportation planning commission. I sit on the Tri-Delta Bus Service Board of Directors. I sit on the board of directors for CTTA, which is the Contra Costa Transportation Authority, which is in charge of big ticket items and big ticket transportation projects throughout the county, such as the 4th Board of the Caldecott Tunnel, the widening of Highway 4 from Pittsburgh all the way through Balfour, and the current project we're working on, which is a 4-680 interchange in Concord, which will redo that interchange and is adding lanes to highways to 4 right now today. I am also the co-founder and president of the Friends of Oakley Community Foundation, which does a Christmas basket program each year for families in need at Christmas time. The things I'm looking forward to keep moving on is obviously jobs. We have a growing community, and Oakley residents have some of the longest commutes in the Bay Area. So improving the job flow and local jobs is critical for this process. And we need to continue working with our police department. And I have run out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. George. George, are you there?
You're muted still. Unmute.
Do I get another chance?
Yes,
Sure.
sir. Start over.
Yeah,
Go.
okay, all right. Got to remember that. Anyway, I'm George Fuller. I'm speaking to you from my home office here in Oakley. I retired police sergeant out of Los Angeles Police Department, spent 22 years on the police department there, and I'm a retired special education teacher. I've been fortunate enough to live both of them, to retire and get pensions from both of them. So I went back to my passion, which is special education, and completing my doctorate at the University of San Francisco. In the process, I also serve as the CEO to the Daniel Jonathan Memorial Fund, which is named in the honor of my son, who drowned 7 years ago, in large part because of his disability. I'm fourth generation Californian. I was born in Oakland, raised in Southern California, spent a lot of time back up here, loved it, and had an opportunity to move back here 10 years ago. So I'm glad to be here. My other elective office has been three terms in the West Covina Unified School District School Board. It was a school district with 10,000 students, 1,000 employees, a budget of $70 million. So it's there. Tonight, I can offer you more at Fuller for Oakley.net. That's Fuller.Oakley.net. But I will be concentrating on the funds our funds going to special and essential services. And we'll carry on with that later in the during our forum. Thank you.
Thank you. And Conan.
Myself. Okay, now I'm unmuted. There we go. I guess last but not least, hopefully, hello, my name is Conan Moats, and I am a teacher by trade. I've been teaching for over 20 years. I currently teach U.S. government economics and college preparatory psychology at Deer Valley High School. I've been there for 9 years. I am a Oakley homeowner. My wife, myself, and our 3 children. I have a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 7-year-old. The 6 and 7-year-old are in first and second grade, respectively, in Oakley Public School. I believe that my career as an educator gives me insight into local government. I've dedicated my career to public service, and I want to expand that in local government. Focusing on education, of course. I want my children to grow up in a community that fosters education and values the cultural, social, and economic growth of our town. To that end, I think we deserve a library in this town. That's a top priority of mine. Likewise, a planning commission. We don't have a planning commission. We need one. And finally, I am dedicated to preserving the natural environment here, making sure that we don't have tunnels, making sure that our wetlands are preserved. Thank you, and I look forward to this forum.
Thank you. We do have one candidate, Anissa Williams, who was not able to be here this evening. She is literally on an airplane. So she has sent in a short introductory video that I believe we are going to try to get on right now.
Gerald, there's no sound.
Much needed jobs for our. I'm Anissa Williams, and I hope to be your next city council member. Oakley deserves a proper library and education resource center built by quality local labor. Not only will this provide much needed jobs for our very skilled workers, it will also provide a beautiful space where learning and community and fellowship can take place once we've all moved through and found a new way forward. One of the reasons that I decided to run for city council is due to where I live. I live off of Laurel, and we have 3 new gas stations that have popped up. That concerns me that that's our main source of revenue, and we don't have a thriving downtown business community.
Peter? Yep.
I know that Oakley residents have great ideas when it comes to opening businesses. We need to encourage them to be able to open and offer something unique that will attract not only our residents to spend money in town, but people from other nearby cities. We've all spent too much money in Brentwood, Antioch, and even further, and we need to keep that revenue in Oakley to fund essential services. Our sales tax revenue is woefully small, especially when considering the size of our city. What we need is our residents to stay in town and spend their money in order to generate income from that sales tax revenue. We need people to want to spend their money in Oakley, and our residents deserve to do that. That will help to fund our fire district and bridge some of the deficits that we've created. Growth can be challenging for any young city. That's why I believe we need somebody who has a clear vision for the future of Oakley and who can be the steward of that. I strongly believe we need to reenact our planning commission so that they can carry out our long-term plans for a successful, smart, developing city. Actions definitely speak louder than words, and I know how to get things done. When this pandemic first started, I started a Facebook group called Neighbors Helping Neighbors East County, and the impact it has made on our community has been tremendous. I believe that if we work together towards a common goal, we can make this city exactly what we all hoped it would be when we moved here and have the best chance for a thriving community for our children.
Okay. Now we will move on to the first question, and the topic is fire safety. Last week, the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District sent a letter to the city outlining a number of longstanding concerns regarding the city's participation in fire protection as a result of out-of-date and often waived impact fees associated with both residential and commercial development. How would you propose the city work with the fire district to improve fire safety? Alexi, you go first, and you have 90 seconds. Nope.
Oh boy, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Come on, you're shortening me up.
2 minutes, go.
Well, okay, hot topic here. So I'm sure many of us have watched a little news segment yesterday on the news about this subject. One of the, I believe, current city council members, our vice mayor, had a comment on this as well. You know, it's really interesting because I don't think a lot of our viewers maybe perhaps don't understand how the fire districts are being funded. I mean, really, the property taxes are what essentially funds our fire district. If you go on their website, it's actually pretty interesting to read. It says, in 1978, what is now ECC FPD was predominantly rural and agriculture, served by several districts of volunteer and paid on-call firefighters. For this reason, fire suppression costs were quite low compared to the government functions. So local fire organizations received relatively small percentage of the property tax. The percentages were set then by the state law and are applied by state and county financial staff. No local officials have any choice regarding these percentages. So I think it is important for us to understand that if we would like to make a tangible, not a Band-Aid fix, but a real fix of this issue, we have to work with our county board of supervisors. We have to work with our state legislature because, you know, things like Measure X, right, which is on our ballots right now, it is, in a sense, it is a solution, but it's not an effective full-on fix for the actual core of the problem. If you read the actual measure, it looks like the funds will be going directly to the general fund and will be afterwards distributed, right? This, I don't know, just doesn't sound like a big assurance. Our fire department looks like supports this measure. It's up to you to support it or not. But I do believe that if we would like to make a tangible difference, I think what would be important is to find similar fire districts in our state, get together, and especially.
Wow, he did it. Okay. All right.
I can yield Alexi a couple seconds of my time if he needs it.
I know. All right. We will go on to Claire.
Ruth, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Last week, the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District sent a letter to the city outlining a number of longstanding concerns regarding the city's participation in fire protection as a result of out-of-date and often waived impact fees associated with both residential and commercial development. How do you propose the city work with the fire district to improve fire safety?
Thank you. Yes, it's a hot topic, as everybody knows, and quite literally and figuratively, since we're dealing with fire. And it's a subject that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be a priority. So being on the city council now, and because this is an agendized item, there is so much I can really not say about that letter and everything else, but I can say that it's our responsibility as a council to make sure that we do what we can to mediate the rules that are in place now, to make sure that the mistakes that have happened don't happen again or continue to occur. So I'd like to create a subcommittee out of this to sort of look at the points in that letter and to look at working forward with the board, the fire district's board, to see what it is that we can do with the impact fee rules and everything that the city has in place to mediate the gaps and to make things better and to be able to pull us out of everything that the letter addresses. I want to be able to help the fire district, and I don't want to hide behind things that have happened in the past. I want to know how we can move it forward. So I think a subcommittee working with the board or their subcommittee working together directly might be beneficial so that we don't have to wait for one meeting to the next meeting for both the council and the board. We can continue working actively in between council meetings and board meetings to continue that work and find a way to mediate the things that are happening with our fire district. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin.
No, unfortunately, they sent that letter out, and you as the press didn't really investigate the veracity of their statements, unfortunately, because the city of Oakley has never waived an impact fee for any development, for any building. We are the only city in the district that has created a community facilities district, CFDs, to help pay for the operational of that. We have 17 of these districts that we have created over time that unfortunately Brentwood doesn't have one, the county doesn't have one, and the district hasn't even created their own CFD. So having them pointing fingers in the middle of a negotiation process as we are working towards developing more additional fees is what was kind of blindsided us out of nowhere dealing with the county, because we have been working with them, not the county, but the district. We have been talking with them about expanding the fee structure, and we've been in negotiations, and then all of a sudden they pull out and sucker punched us. Other than that, I was on the original board. I was the president of the board for a small time, a brief time, for a couple of years. So I understand the issues that the fire department is working with and the fire district is working. I understand the constraints they have, and we're willing to work with them. We just want to be able to work with them in a way that we don't get blindsided with some of these allegations that are somewhat misleading, if not outright false. Thank you.
Well, let me just clarify, Kevin, that the verbiage that I used is via the letter that was sent out. That's not my words. So just asking you to address it as it has come up, and you have. So thank you. George.
I am extremely proud of the fire department, of our fire protection district. If you look at my website, fullerforoakley.net, that's fullerforoakley.net. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I put up a post on Chief Helmick and the ECCFPD board. They offered to start looking at consolidation. That may cost the chief his job, that may cost the board their positions, but that is their number one priority, is the community safety. And Oakley is not delivering for them. I am proud they sent the demand letter. I am proud that they're going forward. I have watched time and again impact fees that weren't but are waived, that fees aren't going. And if you want to look at it, look at Skippolini's when they were approved. All fees were waived. All fees were waived. Miss Allure tried to bring it up to Council Member Allure, and council wouldn't go for it. All fees were waived. That's not good. But what's really breaking my heart is the city of Oakley is not only jeopardizing the safety of the people in the city, but our children. And I've talked about the councils jeopardizing the safety of our children in the past. If there is a fire in one of our elementary schools or two middle schools or Freedom, and a engine has to be dispatched from Discovery Bay, it's going to be catastrophic. We need to have those fire safety in there. It's a basic essential service. It's what we need. And to solve it, first, our lawyer meets with ECCFD lawyers and come up with a final amount that's owed and pay it. Number two, 3 new people on the council dais. As you heard, they disagree with them. No, let's just take out and put 3 new people in there who support our fire department. Thank you.
Thank you. Conan?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, when it comes to being sucker punched, I think the people of Oakley are the suckers, and we're getting punched by the city manager and the current city council, or at least those who have supported the types of negotiation that have been engaged in. I don't believe it's been in good faith, and I think that the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District finally had enough and said, we're not going to be treated this way. We're not going to jeopardize the safety of the people of Oakley. And we are growing at a breakneck speed, and we need to do things to attract development and to attract business, but not at the expense of the safety of the people of Oakley. And I think it's abundantly clear that that's been done. And I think that that's a big push for having non-incumbents such as myself come in and change the way that we communicate with the people who provide essential services to the city of Oakley. I have children. I want them to be safe. I think it's great to tout that we're number 16 in the state for safety when it comes to police safety, but that's not the whole picture. I think that the way that the letters I always get, East Contra Costa Fire Protection District, the way that they've been negotiating has been in earnest, saying, look, we need to fund this, we need capital. And I think that the city manager and some members of the council, I'm not sure how many, feel like the way to negotiate is by trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel. They want to cut fees, they want to make business attractive, but those fees are there for a reason. And some of them, if you scrape them off, then it's going to do damage to us. So we need to change that, and quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. And Aaron?
Thank you, Ruth. So I read the letter, and if we're not abiding by the agreement that we agreed to fund Station 55, we should be. That's first. City of Oakley is collecting CFD fees on fire because I had a project remodel come before the city council, and the council imposed a CFD on my remodel project. So we are paying those CFD fees, whereas I don't believe Brentwood is. We do need to be paying impact fees, and we need to pay our fair share. We also, though, need to keep in mind the fees that we're imposing on commercial development. We need the economic development in the city to be able to do any of the other things that some of the candidates are talking about doing. We need that tax revenue. And if we're increasing the impact fees tremendously on commercial development, we're going to hinder that development, which is going to cost us potentially the library and that type of stuff. So we need to work with the fire district, but we need to also take care of ourselves. I am for the consolidation, at least the study of it. At one time, we were consolidated in the 90s, and unfortunately, the city, before we were a city, the leaders here fought that consolidation, and we broke back in the Oakley Knights and Fire District. So I am for consolidation. We're probably going to have to raise some revenues to be able to make that happen, but I am for it. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Next topic, jobs and businesses. Amazon's new operation at the Contra Costa Logistics Center is expected to bring approximately 800 jobs to the area, most of which we can expect to be warehouse jobs. Amazon pays roughly between $15 to $17 an hour for such jobs. What would you do as a member of the council to bring perhaps higher paying jobs to Oakley? Claire?
Ruth. Yes, so with Amazon coming in, we did have them, they are part of phase one. With phase one, there are about 800 jobs. At build out, Amazon says that they would bring about 2,100 jobs to our area. $15 to $17 might not be as high as we would hope or expect, but it is a start. It is much more than minimum wage, and it's many more jobs here in our community than we ever had before. There are 5 phases of this project out there, and other companies coming in would definitely bring different opportunities and different types of jobs to that area. They may not all be warehouse jobs. There is definitely jobs for management within those levels, and it really depends on what companies come in. And we also have lots of other commercial area to develop within the city that hopefully after this pandemic and COVID, many more developers will want to come out and start building those projects with us. I think bringing in a big company like Amazon will catch the attention of many more companies, and that's just the start of what we can do with our industrial and our commercial. So we're working toward it, and this is definitely something that's been in the works for a very long time. Previous councils have laid the groundwork for us to be able to say we have an Amazon today, and I appreciate the work that they have done. So it's a continuous path that we have to be on, and we have to be diligent about making Oakley attractive, about making sure our infrastructure is in place. It looks like we've had a ton of gas stations and warehouses, and maybe we do, but that's because a lot of the surrounding properties around them haven't been filled in yet. So if you take a ride into another city, you'll see just as many gas stations, maybe not as many of their public storage, but you'll see just as many of those. However, they've had the time and the money to fill in those gaps with other types of businesses. And that's what I hope Oakley will look like one day. We'll have a lot more commercial and a lot more industrial to offer. Thank you.
Kevin.
Amazon has been stated, is just the first company. There'll be 5 buildings when the logistics center is completed. A number of those buildings will have multiple tenants within. We're not sure exactly yet what that tenant mix will be and which companies are coming. We have hundreds of acres that have been zoned for commercial and light industrial. We have created an environment that made Oakley an attractive place to be. That when North Point came looking and looked at our situation and how and working with the council and working with city staff, you have to create an environment where people want to come to. And that's what we've done thus far. There are more coming. There will be more coming. There's already some interests already out there that have been banging the door. We can't talk about who they are, unfortunately. But the change is coming. We all want that. We know that Oakley, the largest employer in Oakley is the Oakley Unified School District, and we need to change that. We know that too many families are spending too much time on the road, driving to and from work, which not only exasperates the home situation, but also exasperates our highways and roadways. But the fact that we have shown that we can work with large developers such as North Point is a sign that we're moving forward, and that we can and we will be able to draw more attention from those other companies that want to expand into our region.
Thank you. George.
Yes, my number one proposition for election is childcare. And the reason that is if we are going to have jobs in Oakley, if we're going to have people working in Oakley, if we're post-pandemic, parents are getting back out into the economic mainstream, either at home, which it seems there, or traveling, they're going to need childcare to do it. And it's going to need to be on the 24/7. I've heard many different ones about Amazon, but the numbers, but if Amazon becomes operational, it will be 24/7. Mothers who are going to work that graveyard shift are going to need a place for their children, especially if their husbands are also working the graveyard shift. I want to develop childcare. In the nation, childcare is decimated. In California, childcare is decimated. In Contra Costa County, childcare is decimated. In Oakley, childcare is decimated. We want parents to get back to work, to putting food on the table, to get their self-esteem back, to save their homes, but they're going to need help with their kids. Even at home, it was temporary, but if those of us have been working at home with kids, my kids are out, but I've heard about the other ones. It is very difficult to run a family and also be productive in work. We have to find some accommodation for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Conan.
Conan, you're muted. There you go. Start over.
Thank you. I'd like to reclaim my time, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we need a paradigm shift here, because everything I've been hearing, I think, is contributing to the problem. In the post-COVID world, people are stressed out. There's a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of things that are changing rapidly. And one thing is that people, because many can e-commute, people have a choice of where they want to live. And creating a business-friendly environment is super important, but it depends on who we want to attract and why. So, the sucking sound that I hear is when we contract people like North Point. I don't know that that's something to boast with, because I don't know how they're out of state. They're an out-of-state organization. I don't think that we've got local working on these projects. So who is this benefiting? And the question, the way it was framed to me is, yes, we're getting jobs that are minimum wage jobs or slightly above minimum wage, but what are they bringing to the quality of our town? Yes, we can develop and get a lot more tax revenue from property tax, but what do we want our city to look like? I think about Mountain House not too far from here, and they wanted to change the name as it hits 580 from Mountain House to International, because they wanted to dissociate themselves with all of the industrial stuff that was going on there. They want a community that feels like a community and not like a bunch of warehouses. So I think that this is a big problem, and it creates high turnover in our community. People don't want to stay here. So we want to build a community where people want to stay, and we want to create the types of jobs that people are proud to have. I think that if we coordinate more with the community college district and higher education, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing that we have a number of education jobs. I think that we can look to educational institutions to provide not only quality jobs, but also support the local economy. That's where the library comes in. And the opportunities for the library could present other jobs locally. But back to Amazon. I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon. They do a lot of great stuff. I know that we can use the revenue, but I need to stop now, so I can't elaborate any further. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron?
Thank you, Ruth. I think the North Point development is great for this community. It's going to bring in increased property taxes for the city of Oakley. It is going to bring in projected at build out 2,200 jobs that East County desperately needs. And so I'm happy they're building here. With that development will also come ancillary businesses and jobs. So because they're here, those employees will be able to spend their working hour revenue, lunchtime revenue here locally. So those are additional jobs that would be created off that North Point development. Something that if I'm on the council, I'm pushing the city to do is streamline the permitting process. To me, our permitting process is woefully slow. It's a painful process. And that is something that we need to encourage a more streamlined approach to permitting so that these businesses can start employing people in a more timely manner. I also want to protect our light industrial areas. We have lost some ground over time along Live Oak to residential development that we'll never get back. And we need to protect the light industrial ground so that we can provide jobs long-term for the citizens of Oakley. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alexi?
So speaking about jobs, right? I think, super honest being here, we've been doing a pretty lousy job of selling ourselves. So look, I work in Bay Area. When people ask me where you live, I tell them I live in Oakley. People ask me, hey, do you guys have electricity or paved roads? And I tell them, you know what? Actually, we have a pretty amazing community here. But see, the thing is, we're like the best kept secret of Bay Area. Like nobody knows who we are, where we are. But I think we have a lot to offer. So as it was already mentioned in this COVID world, right, a lot of jobs are being done remotely. We do have an excellent infrastructure for that, okay? Our city has fiber optics internet pretty much everywhere, okay, which makes us a perfect place for attracting those Bay Area jobs, right, Bay Area tech jobs. And creating maybe satellite offices here would be fantastic. Now, look, I do agree that having Amazon is good because it's good to have different types of jobs, right? Those $15, $18 jobs in a warehouse are just as important as those high-paying jobs. But we need to have various different industries, right? And more importantly, right, what we want is to employ people in our region and our kids and our future generations into those jobs of the future. So yes, a library with an innovation center that will provide classes, you know, in STEM and coding would be fantastic and incredible investment into our community. And that's what we need to see. But once again, right now, if you look at our economic development department, look, it's a one-man show. So look, if elected, I would like to change that department completely. I would like to have a couple more people working on it, maybe create a think tank and, you know what, start attracting those jobs. I think it's also important to say that we need to start growing our sales tax revenue. So we need to start attracting those lucrative businesses that will start bringing people from Brentwood and Antioch here, okay? Bass Pro Shop would be fantastic here, you know? We're right on the river. I think it will make a big difference. And I'm running out of time. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to the next topic, and that's campaign contributions. Have you accepted contributions from developers or special interest groups to fund your campaign? If yes, who are they and how much have you received? If not, where is your campaign funding coming from? And we'll start with Kevin.
I have spent $400 on signs this year, and that's it. I have signs that were yard signs that were left over from a number of years ago. I have not accepted any campaign contributions from any developers. And so I have spent what I'm going to spend thus far, and I am done. So I don't know how else to answer this question. No, I have not accepted any campaign donations from anyone and from any developers. And there you have it.
Okay, thank you. George.
Yes, to start with, I've lent myself $13,000. If you look at the Form 460, that you will see that I have $13,000 set aside. I don't know if I'll use all of it, but I'll come close. I believe that the people are entitled to an election, to have the ideas discussed and to get the word out. So I've lent it there. I have received a $250 check from the Delta Association of Realtors, which I'm very proud of. I'm very happy. And that will go in my account today. And the other thing is I carry the Sierra Club endorsement. I did not receive any money, nor did I ask any money for any money from the Sierra Club, but I'm a lifelong militant tree hugger, and to get the Sierra Club endorsement was primo. So that's it.
Thank you. Conan.
That, and now I'm unmuted. Yeah. So I've also received an endorsement from the Sierra Club, which I'm proud of. My father, a petroleum engineer, who's passed away, might have been frustrated by that, but I'm very proud of trying to be a steward of the environment. But I haven't received any funds from them either. The majority of the funds that I've received have been from friends and family, and they've all been under $200. I've refused funds, or I have not sought the endorsement of development. I was courted, but I didn't feel that it was proper, because I feel that what my campaign is not necessarily taking money from anyone. So I kind of feel that once I'm in office, that I will have a contentious relationship with some of the development funds that could be available. I have received money from organized labor, and I think that is important to underscore, because I know that at least 30% of the people who live in Oakley are union members. I myself am a proud member of the Antioch Education Association. I received an endorsement from the president of the AEA, but not any funds from the AEA. And the reality is that we need to fight for decent paying jobs with benefits. We're living in a world with a gig economy, with underpaying jobs. We need that type of organized labor. So I haven't received a great deal of funds, but that is the source of my campaign, and I've bought signs with them, and I'd like to do more in terms of developing my online presence, but it's nothing exorbitant. It's nothing to write home about. So thank you.
Thank you. And Aaron.
I received some funds from builders, $6,000 from builders. I've loaned my campaign $5,000. It's nice to hear that George has got a check from the Association of Realtors, because I believe I'm getting one, but it hasn't arrived yet. I guess it is on its way. Thanks, George. So that's my contributions at this point.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Aaron? I've got now a list out here that I might have been reiterating what you said. I've got 5,000 from DeNova Homes.
I received money from DeNova Homes. I received money, I believe, from BIA, and I have loaned myself $5,000 to date.
Okay, and then 1,000 from the Jobs PAC, Build Jobs PAC?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you for clarifying. Alexi.
Yeah, I'm fully self-funded. The only not really a contribution, the stipend that I received is the same thing. It was awarded to me, $250 from Delta Realtors Association, and it was unsolicited. Other than that, I am full self-funded by design. look, I'm just gonna say, every time we received a letter from a different political entity or special interest group or, I don't know, candidate, it's always like, donate to my campaign or donate to my cause or please contribute. I just think that, you know, it's time to change things around. There's a lot of money in politics as it is. And when you receive contributions from different groups, you owe them. And I don't want to owe anything to anyone but people of Oakley. So I want to represent people of Oakley and only people of Oakley, those who vote for me and those who don't vote for me either. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Claire.
Hi there. So yes, I have received $1,000 from DeNova Homes. They reached out to me, and I've also been, I've received money just today. So your check is coming, Aaron, from the Delta Realtors Association. I received $1,000 from them. I've also been a recipient of money from the Heat and Frost Insulators Union and the East Bay Women's Political Alliance, and a few private individuals. I just hit my, with totaling all of that, just hit my $2,500 mark. I think the threshold is $2,000 for campaigning. So I have about $2,500 to work with. I've reused signs and materials from before, and I've had some really great friends lend me their talents in graphic design to help me with some of my marketing materials. So I appreciate them and all of their talent too. And that's it.
All right, thank you. We will move on to another topic, and that is homelessness. A point in time study released by the county in August of this year identified East County as having the largest homeless population in the county. In Oakley, according to the county's numbers, Oakley currently has 50 homeless individuals. What are your plans to address the homeless situation in Oakley going forward? George, you're first.
Thank you. And yes, that came up with the Delta Association of Realtors. I believe that was one of their questions, not the Sierra Club. But in answering it, my answer is that it needs to be a regional approach. We need to come together with the other cities, Brentwood, Pittsburgh, Antioch, maybe even down to Clayton, Discovery Bay, that we can go with the county and work it on a regional basis. 50 alone for us to do becomes quite a quagmire to finance. And then what are you going to do when you bring everybody together and pool the resources and being able to provide the services for homeless, health, mental health, some for the small homes like Oakland is doing, things along that nature, then the economic impact is much more spread and much more effective. So my intent is to work closely with the other cities and begin to establish an interagency commission to address homelessness in the area, not just Oakley, but the whole area, and we all working together to bring it together, because we're not alone. There are others.
Thank you. Conan.
Yes, thank you. This is a huge crisis. This is something that is plaguing our society. And I wasn't alive in the 1930s, but I feel like we've got Hoovervilles stepped up, across the nation, definitely in California. And again, I think we need a paradigm shift. I know that the state has allocated a number of funds or a large amount of money to address the problem, but I don't think just throwing money at the problem is doing any good. I think that we need to work more with the county to provide services. I teach students. There are students at my school, and for FERPA reasons, I don't want to go into too much detail, but there are homeless children in East Contra Costa County. And we need to take a more compassionate approach, but we also need to ensure the safety of our community. I have small children, and I want to make sure that they feel safe as well. I teach psychology. This is connected to a number of mental health issues that we have failed to address in our country, at least since the Reagan administration. And there needs to be a reworking of how we address the homeless issue. I definitely think that our county does a good job with our regional centers. They're kind of a one-stop shop for homeless issues. But we see, if you drive down Laurel, or if you drive down Highway 4 going west, you can see an encampment that's growing. And in the time of COVID, the problem is exacerbated because it becomes a safety issue for our society. So I think that definitely to the point of having a planning commission that was gutted in 2014, I believe, that could be a tool used for dealing with the problem as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you, Ruth. We do have a homeless problem, not just in Oakley. Oakley's numbers are low, a lot lower than our surrounding neighbors. There is a problem. It's a county problem. The county needs to be providing the resources that they're mandated to provide. I know they do have the core program, but it's the county that needs to step up and really work on the local problem. I think it's also a state level problem in that, unfortunately, a lot of the homeless do have mental health or substance abuse issues, which are not being addressed. They're left on the street to fend for themselves. And I don't think we're going to solve the problem locally until the state can step up and work with the mental health and the substance abuse issues. So that's I think where it needs to be fixed at. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexi.
Yes, yeah, homelessness is definitely one of the most pressing issues, actually, for the whole state of California. What's been happening for the last several years is we just keep pushing people from city to city, from county to county, and not really addressing the issue. And it's not very easy to address, right? There is definitely problems with substance abuse. There's mental health problems, a lot of different issues kind of bundled all together. So to solve something like this, I truly believe it needs to be done on a state level. And not only I think government is one and only key solution to this, but I do believe we have one superpower, at least in our region and Bay Area, and this is the big tech corporations in the Bay Area, who, you know, they're really volunteering to solve all kinds of problems. And you can see with COVID-19, you know, contact tracing was done essentially within a month by two big tech giants who are housed in the Bay Area. So what I think is important is to reach out to them. They have best minds, best engineers. They most likely can come up with really good solutions, but it will take all of us to do this, right? We say we're all in this together. And, you know, I like to think of us as family, and in family, you have responsibilities. So I think it's important for us to start asking those corporations to, you know, pay their fair share, because it's a problem for them just as big as it is for us, right? And people are suffering, and it's really, really sad. And there is no really easy way to go about it. So that's my view on the subject.
Thank you. And Claire.
Thank you. Yes, homelessness is a problem. It's become a bigger problem, and COVID has not helped with that problem at all. Our PD is really great at identifying and knowing a lot of the homeless individuals in our city, and taking the time to understand that a lot of them do have drug issues, a lot of them have mental issues, and a lot of them are just down on their luck. Those that want to be helped receive the help. Our officers offer it all the time through the county, through 211 and CORE. But many times the case is that individuals do not want the help, or they refuse to live by the rules that they need to in order to be in a shelter, in order to go back home to their families. And that is the hard part, is trying to bridge that person and their will and their ability to remain free with keeping the rest of the city and the public safe. So I continue working with the county, utilizing all of the programs that they have to make referrals and to get people places for showers, for meals, and hope that with time, some of those individuals who protest the help or protest trying, to maybe clean up their act a little will soften and will want to be able to take the hand that's being lent out to them. Our Family Justice Center, many times there are homeless situations and it has nothing to do with mental health, or it's just a violent or a very dangerous situation for them to be in their home. So they have to flee, and that sometimes leaves families homeless or parts of families homeless. So our Family Justice Center has done a great job also of providing resources, and our police department supports the family justice too. So I think helping our PD help them or continue offering help to our homeless is the way to go, and utilizing the resources the county provides.
Thank you. And Kevin.
Has been stated, that was a point in time count of 50 homeless in the city of Oakley. We do have a core group of homeless that we are aware of, as has been stated before. PD knows them all by name and works with them individually. We do get spikes when other cities around us ask their homeless to move on. And so you will see different faces at different times. I go to work early in the morning and make some stops, and I have noticed during some of these stops that that there are regulars and there are some that continue to change, that are here for a few weeks and then move on. There was a mention of the encampment on Highway 4th north of Target. Unfortunately, that wasn't in the city of Oakley. It was in the city of Antioch, and property owned by Contra Costa County, and Contra Costa County has since gone through and cleaned up the area. There are shelters that are available, has been mentioned before. We offer those. We work with homeless that want help. But unfortunately, it's been mentioned by everybody here, there is a definite problem with mental illness and substance abuse among many of those who don't want to be helped. In California, there's the counties that receive the state and federal funds for social service programs like mental illness services and homeless shelters. No funds come down to the city of Oakley to provide services for the homeless. The county just spent $21 million buying the Motel 6 in Pittsburgh as a housing shelter for the homeless. And the county, Contra Costa County, will spend close to $3 billion this year on mental health issues and mental and human health services this year. Locally, we have a program called REACH that works with as a successful youth diversion program, and we will continue to contract with them for their service. Thank you.
I'm muted. There I am. Thank you, Kevin. On to the Planning Commission question. Question number 5. At one time, Oakley had a separate planning commission, but in 2009, the city council took over that role due to the lack of significant planning items currently on the horizon. Do you feel the time may have come to reinstate a standalone commission? Why or why not? And Conan, you'll get that first question.
All right. Well, I guess I'm pretty fortunate since I've made that a center of my campaign. It's a unequivocal yes. We need a planning commission. Yes, we need a planning commission. Yes, we need a planning commission. So the idea that there wasn't enough stuff for them to address seems laughable to me, and I don't know what they were thinking by getting rid of it. And if we had one, then some of the problems that we're facing right now, I think, could have been averted, and we could have had more community input, more heads at the table to make these decisions. And I've heard up and down, this is an expensive item that is not worth it. Well, baloney, I say. We definitely need to have this, and it may cost $30,000 to $50,000 a year, but it pays dividends in terms of having an entity making decisions and giving advice to the city council that's not just coming from the city management team. So we have a city advisory, and to me, it just all reeks of it's insulated. It's not sharing power. It's like, we're going to be the ones who make the decisions. We're the enlightened ones. Trust us on the decisions we make. That's not how local government should work, in my opinion. So we definitely need a planning commission to make better decisions on how to grow, to get more perspectives on what we need. And it's a no-brainer. So when I'm on the council, that will be essentially my first order of business, is to reestablish a planning commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Aaron.
Thank you, Ruth. I'm okay with I'm for a planning commission. I believe that the positives outweigh the cost that has been quoted as why we don't have one. It's another set of eyes and on the projects, five different opinions. I understand we have the citizen advisory group, but I watch the council meetings and the projects come through, and maybe one person makes comments, somebody will make comments after the packet's been put out. To me, it doesn't work. And like I said, I think the benefits outweigh any costs associated with planning commission. Not for it.
All right, thank you. Alexi.
Gee, I'm just gonna be a party pooper and change the whole tone. So not necessarily have a problem with the planning commission, but look, we do come from, my family, we came from San Mateo, and I've seen how ineffective bureaucracy could become, Currently in Oakley, the commission is city council, right? So if we're unhappy how things are being approved, how they're not being approved, whatever, right? Right now, you have a chance to change it. Right now, you have a chance to vote for members of the city council, 3 of them, who would be hopefully doing a really good job at it, right? But look, a lot of people are leaving California just because of over-regulation that we have that at times could be extremely paralyzing. There's a lot of different examples where people say, you know what? Like, it's a whole lot faster to move to a different country and build a factory there in 9 months, which would take maybe over a year to get permits in some places in the Bay Area because of, planning commissions who can stall different projects or whatnot. So look, I do believe that right now you have a chance to elect people who hopefully will be representing exactly the vision and attracting exact businesses that we want to see. But I do think it's important to streamline the process, make our government more efficient, less bureaucracy, more freedom. And I think this would be attractive for a lot of companies that are already leaving our state. So I think Oakley has a potential to be a guiding light and to be, a breath of fresh air for California.
All right, thank you. And Claire.
So I would be in support of exploring a planning commission. Since my time on the council, we have not had one. So I understand the work that it takes to look at projects, to research projects. There's 5 of us to already discuss it. I think it would only be helpful for other voices to give their outlook and opinion on it too. It would also depend on how we go about putting the planning commission together. I think we would need people who maybe have some background in certain parts, who have businesses and can sort of foresee or understand how that might affect things going on, who've been part of the permitting business and have experience in that. So I think it's definitely worth exploring that option, and I am not opposed to more eyes on the project. However, to Mr. Trico's point, it will probably slow things down a little bit because you do have another layer that you need to get through. And I think the coming council will have to determine whether that extra review is worth the financial is worth the money and the time. And also they do need to listen to what the community is saying. And if the community wants to be a part of that, it allows more people to be part of that process and how our city is planned too. So there's very much benefits to it as well. So I would be definitely in favor of reviewing that and considering a planning commission.
Thank you. And Kevin.
I think I bring a different perspective here. I'm the only one who has served on a planning commission. I was the chairman of the planning commission for the 4 years I was there. I think a more appropriate question is what does a planning commission do? And I can tell you that most of my meetings, there was more staff there than anybody else, unless we were talking about affordable housing or boats and trailers in the garage. The planning commission has the ability to approve maps and variances. And that's it. Any decision the planning commission makes can and was often appealed to the city council for further review. They also provide guidance when it comes to governmental type issues and whatnot. We already, all the planning for East Cyprus was completed by the planning commission already. So there's nothing to plan on East Cyprus. The downtown specific plan was created with the help of the planning commission and the residents of Oakley. There are specific plans for the DuPont property that have already been approved by the planning commission to sat there. What is left in Oakley for a planning commission to look at is some infill products. Other than that, this is why we shut it down a number of years ago for budgetary reasons and because there wasn't a lot of issues to go. So would you rather have a planning commission that maybe meets once a quarter because that's all the issues that are coming that way? Or would you rather attend the city council meeting and voice yourself there, where you still have the ability to do that on any issue that comes before the public? It's not a lack, it is not a lack that you don't have the opportunity. They're there if you want them. Thank you.
Thank you. And George.
Yes, I'm very much in favor of a planning commission. I don't know where all these expenses come up that is going to be expensive. Right now, the planning department in the city is 2 people, which has a salary rate of $421,000 plus. I don't know quite how that's distributed, but there's a couple of part-time people and the full-time. In that, they have services of over $350,000 for services to a 2-person department. I don't know how much services they need, but everybody's saying, oh, a planning commission would cost us $80,000. We're talking close to $1 million in the 2-person planning department that is run by Brian Montgomery, the city manager, who has autocratic authority over it. He can terminate anybody there that doesn't go along with him. The council has advocated their responsibility in holding Brian Montgomery accountable. So he is basically doing the planning the way he wants to do it in the city. I believe the more people involved, the more we will get to where we want to go. I am willing to put together the ordinances again on the planning commission to put one in there that works, that represents our citizens, where they can go with their ideas, where they would like to go and how it's going to function, and give the council recommendations. Yes, the council has the final authority to vote, and that's the way it should be. But the council needs to listen not to one person who has firing capabilities over a 2-person department, but to the people coming together and coming up with the planning. Thank you.
Thank you. And on to public safety. How would you respond to the calls heard across the country this year for the defunding of police in favor of funding for proactive social programs And would you support using city funds to add a mental health crisis response team to the Oakley Police Department? And Aaron, that's your question. Or you start anyway.
Thank you, Ruth. Public safety is my top priority. I would look to what our new police chief recommends as far as staffing is concerned, and what type of staffing, if that's mental health or CSOs or additional officers. I believe that we are understaffed presently as far as officers are concerned. I believe we're staffed at 0.77 per 1,000 residents. It's a total of 32 officers and sergeants combined. And I believe 4 of those have been out for medical. So I'm concerned about our staffing levels. I am definitely not for defunding the police at all. If we don't have public safety, if we don't have a safe and secure community for our families, and we don't have anything. We won't attract additional residents, which some that might be okay. We won't attract business, and it puts our current residents in danger. So I'm definitely not for defunding the police, but I am interested in working with our new chief to determine what our needs are. So thank you.
Thank you. Alexi.
Yeah, safety is really the foundation, I mean, of any city, any society. And truly, you know, we're talking about a lot of projects here, about a lot of ideas that we're exchanging today. Truly, none of it would be possible if we don't have safe environment, right? Safe environment for all of our residents, and as well as for our properties and businesses, right? So to me, safety means both police force as well as fire safety and paramedics. But going back to police force, I would definitely work. I'm very excited to, first of all, about our new chief of the police. I would definitely work with them, listen to them. I believe, you know, you always have to listen to people who actually do the job, professionals at it, and see how he envisions, you know, the growth in our city. I believe in support for our police force. They work hard. Look, we can argue about this as much as we want to, but it's really easy to question actions of our brave women and men who are serving on the force from the comfort of our house. It's a stressful job. And, you know, we always talk about we're being 16th in the state by safety. You know, we're also, interestingly enough, one of the top paid cities for police officers, actually 8th in the nation, right? So what I would like to see, and I'm sure we will see it right now, is a little bit proactiveness as well. I think also police officers volunteering for the community and establishing programs such as diversion or PAL would go a long ways and will contribute positively to our community.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Claire.
Thank you. So in my opening statement, I did say that safety is a necessary basis, I think, for any community to grow, thrive, and endure. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And it starts with supporting our public safety, starts with supporting our police department. There are unfortunate things that have happened, terrible things that have happened, and there isn't an excuse for those things, but that doesn't mean defunding police would solve those problems. What I feel is that we need to give our police department more tools and more training to deal with different situations and different types of people that they may encounter. To take away from their budgets and to take away from their numbers would only hurt the rest of our community. I have had the opportunity to speak with and sit down with our new chief, and I'm excited to hear his ideas. And we talked a little bit about the Citizens Advisory Committee to the chief. Before I was on council, I was a part of this committee. I continue to be a part of this committee. And now there's interest from the community to to sort of revamp it and for more people to join and see what it's about. So I think visiting that idea, we'll have to see how our chief takes the lead in establishing that new advisory committee. But getting people involved and bridging that sort of communication gap and transparency gap with the public will only help police relations. And I think the more people who want to understand what the job is like, and with the police department being open about what they do, it will help our community move forward together. And it will hopefully keep them from, I guess, dividing our community. And that's what we want. We want a community that's together and one that supports our public safety officers.
All right, thank you. Kevin.
No, I think defunding the police department is a ludicrous idea that will do none of us any good. I think we need to look at future staffing needs to determine how best to respond to certain incidences out there. A couple months ago, we had 2 calls in the night for attempted suicides by teenagers, and the first people on the scene were police officers. And is that the appropriate use of a police officer, and is that the appropriate response for that type of incident? As mentioned before, we have a new chief of police, and I have talked with him, and we've discussed ideas on how to move forward and how to look at programs that we currently have right now, and what we can do in the future to better address the needs of the community from public safety issues. I mean, we have about a month ago, we had an online forum when we talked to the public to get their thoughts and ideas and input on that. The chief was part of that, and I were part of that program where we broke off into separate individual groups to discuss police officers and the response and the need for them in our city. We do have programs to address some of those issues with You, Me, We, Oakley, that looks to reach out to all of the underserved populations in our community and work with them and try to bring them on and engage them in what is needed from their perspective. And so I ultimately defunding the police is not the area we want to go to. Thank you.
All right, thank you. George.
Yes, thank you. After 22 years in the Los Angeles Police Department, a lot of it spent either in South Central LA, what was then South Central LA, Watts, or narcotics in East LA. I can say that it is very capable to have a strong community connection with people with the police department. I've seen it. What happens is we have to be professionally funded. We are 0.77 and have been for a long time, 0.77 officers per 1,000 in Oakley. The county average is 1.48 thousand officers per 1,000. We are pushing our officers. That's what happened with Rodney King. Rodney was continually taking away our funds, and Gates wanted to get it done. And the officers were pushed and pushed and pushed until a night in Foothill Division where the Rodney King wouldn't go, and we saw the results. I was sent down to Nickerson Gardens, Jordan Downs, and Imperial Courts, now gone, thank God, for a footbeat in about 2 or 3 days after Rodney King. And I ran the footbeat officers for 1 year from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. I was there during the riots and worked 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Went there. We established a community. And what needs to be understood is there was a community there, a community that wanted us, did not want us to be out of control, but wanted us to be there. And in terms of mental health or others, it's always nice. But the bottom line, 5 o'clock or midnight in Imperial Courts, where did the community turn to for mental health? 911 and the Los Angeles Police Department. And that's not going to change. We need to professionally fund our police department and professionally train them.
All right, thank you. And Conan.
Okay, thank you. In the wake of the incident with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, when I heard the cry for defund the police, I thought that this was the worst possible way to frame a narrative to deal with a national crisis. Because everyone knows that the primary function of government is to protect and serve its people. So the idea that we should defund our police strikes at that narrative. And many people who believe in cutting budgets across the board for all sorts of social services would never want to do so for law enforcement. So I think the idea of defund the police is a really bad one. But I do think it has this issue with the rise of Black Lives Matter and the racial tension that exists in virtually every community in our country needs to be addressed. And it needs to be addressed by law enforcement. It needs to be addressed by education and healthcare and every sector of our society. So when it comes to some of the practices that law enforcement engage in, I think that this is a prime opportunity to reflect on those and possibly make changes. Police officers do too much. They're expected to solve every crisis that occurs in a community. People got a problem, they call the cops. Well, that's not necessarily the law enforcement's job in every situation. So yeah, we need, everybody's acknowledged that drug abuse and mental health services are a big problem. I think that we need to see how law enforcement works with other agencies to deal with these problems. I grew up in Mission Viejo, California. We were one of the top 3 safest cities in the state. But I was a senior in high school when the LA riots happened. And it changed my perspective in terms of how law enforcement engages with the community. And I think that we need to reevaluate. We don't need to defund. We definitely need to look at the policies and re-implement. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I think we actually have time for one more question, and this is from a call-in resident. So I'm going to go ahead and read that and let you guys answer that. What would you do as a council member to ensure that Oakley is inclusive and tolerant of people from all races, religions, and cultures? Lexi, you get that one first.
Uh-oh, sorry. I was
Over.
muted. Okay. So what I was saying is diversity, I believe, only makes us, our communities, much, much stronger. I do believe that we still have a pretty big systemic problem that we keep fixing with Band-Aids instead of like actually, treating the wound, a massive gaping bloody wound, okay, in our society. So the only way we really can go about it is by actually listening and hearing one another. I think it goes a long ways when community members who are coming from different backgrounds have a chance to work together and maybe volunteer. I think volunteering together with people of different cultures, different backgrounds, goes a long way. It gets us together. It gets us to the point where we understand that we're not all that different, but we do have our cultural beauty that is different for all of us. And that's great. That's great. I think another very important point, to touch here on the diversity is diversity of opinions. In California, it's sometimes it's a touchy subject. I do believe that it's important for us to be able to listen to people from both sides of the argument. Sometimes, it feels like we're living in this crazy world where, because we only have 2 parties, we have good and evil fighting against each other. But you know what, to be honest with you, if we all come sit down and start actually talking to one another, we can find out that we have a lot more things that unite us together. And that's the beauty of it all. So yeah, let's get together. Let's be united.
All right. Claire.
So there are actually a lot of things that the City of Oakley does now to work toward inclusivity towards different types of cultures and peoples and way of life. Our You, Me, We program has been in effect for a number of years, and we do celebrate different types of cultural events for different types of groups. I think enhancing those programs, it's very hard now in a COVID world to get people together to do activities and whatnot, but we're definitely learning through this how we can do online activities to bring people closer together. So there's an opportunity there. In fact, if you go to the You, Me, We Oakley page now, there is even a pledge that you can make that you will work towards living in an environment and being open to other people from different backgrounds. And I encourage everyone to take that pledge to talk with your families about what that means, about what it means to be open to other people, that perhaps just learning about another culture or another way of life does not negate your own, but would only enhance it, because we are all in this city together. We all go to the same grocery stores and restaurants, and it's only going to make you better to understand the other people in your community. It does nothing to take away from you or what your beliefs are, but just to understand that there are other people in this world who have them too. So I think enhancing those programs and also perhaps linking them with school programs too would be a way to get the families to start at an earlier age about talking about inclusivity, diversity, and just how people are different, and we all have to just try to get along. Doesn't mean we have to agree, but it does mean we have to try to accept and be respectful of others and their differences. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin.
Claire stole a lot of my thunder there. The City of Oakley has had the You, Me, We Oakley program for a long time, celebrating the diversity amongst ourselves. We have worked hard to include new people as they come into our community, regardless of where they come from. Definitely look at our website, look at the programs we offer. God, I had a whole speech there and it just went dead on me. We're working, working with your neighbors. I mean, like I say, the You, Me, We Oakley program, like Claire, I'm trying to think of something different than what she said. It is a little difficult here, but it is an amazing program that's being copied countrywide. We get grant money to run that program, and we're constantly being called on to share how and what we do in this program with other communities so they can help develop their own type of programs. Just check out our website, check out Facebook all the time with this, what goes on with You, Me, We Oakley. There are different programs popping up almost on a weekly basis. Once again, celebrating the diversity of our community, which is probably understated to a great deal. There's a lot of probably misconceptions about what Oakley is and who we are as a people. We're diversifying almost on a daily basis and moving towards a more homogeneous society. And it's all the better for all of us. That's it.
Thank you. And George.
George, you're muted. You're muted, George.
All right, start over. As a retired special education teacher and working on my doctorate in special education and disability, inclusive always comes up because disabled persons are a demographic minority. What is tough with disability or race or any others is compliance. That's why I don't like the word tolerant. I like the word accepting and integrating and inclusive. And Oakley is doing a lot. I live over in the Parklands. It's fairly new over there. And my block is a very multiracial block. I mean, we cover the whole spectrum in the block. And there we like each other. We get along with each other. We accept each other. And that's what's important. That comes out by making sure that what needs to be there is not just compliant, but we're doing it. And that comes out of government. Where is the government going to do? Do we just say, well, we don't do that? No, we need to say, this is what our community is about. This is what we bring it together. to be inclusive, to be together, to bring everyone together and work. And I'm seeing that in Oakley, and I would like to go beyond tolerant and compliant into social justice and social equity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Conan.
Now I'm unmuted again. I wish that were automatic.
Right.
Yeah, I think Kevin meant heterogeneous and not homogeneous.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's a beauty about this country. I heard Alexi mention it in an earlier discussion about the opportunities that are afforded to all Americans, regardless of race or place of origin. Super important, and what makes us strong as a nation. There's many nations in the world where who you are is the color of your skin or your religion or who your parents were. And so I think that's a beauty that we have here. That doesn't mean that we're all healed. That doesn't mean that we don't have big problems and difficult discussions that we need to have constantly. And these are not easy things to discuss. These are not easy cultural issues to address, but they need to happen. And as a teacher, I see it all the time. I teach at a very diverse school, and I point out often to my seniors that when they go to college, having multiple perspectives from where they came from high school will be an asset when they go to college. Because many people who do come from homogeneous communities have a hard time navigating different backgrounds and cultures when they do go to college or when they do enter the workforce. So it is something that we can come together on and something we can celebrate. We need to tread carefully, and we need to understand that there are wounds that this nation has that we have still not healed from a long time. And but I believe that Oakley is well equipped to do it. And I think that we need to be honest in our discussions, because it's not always kumbaya for sure, but we need to create an environment where different perspectives can be respected. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Aaron.
Thank you, Ruth. Oakley has a large Latino population. I believe they make a good effort in reaching out to all groups within the city. You Mean We is a positive program. The Oak Leaf has articles in Spanish. So the city makes a good effort. I think there's more that could be done. Definitely reaching out to our Spanish speaking community and trying to bring them in working with them. The little I do, to me, they seem like they're somewhat isolated. And so if we can bring them in to the city and working with all the rest of us, I think it'd be great. So there's work to be done, but I think the city of Oakley has a good base. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to closing statements. Again, each candidate will have 90 seconds to close out the evening, and we'll begin with Claire.
Thank you. So Oakley is the youngest city in the county, only 21 years old, and there are many opportunities to continue shaping it into the ideal place for families in the heart of the Delta. I want to continue to work to make sure Oakley remains a safe and accessible place to live by supporting our police department, working with our fire district, ensuring ADA compliance is being met, and keeping our neighbors and their homes and one another safe. I want to keep working to attract big businesses with living wage jobs and to help small businesses succeed. It's imperative to improve job opportunities in our community. So not only will residents work where they live, but also so that we bring residents of neighboring cities to patronize and boost our restaurants and businesses here in town. And lastly, I'll continue working to bring amenities to our city, such as a new library that would be a hub for not only children and avid readers, but also include a place for our seniors, veterans, gardening groups, and more, and be a place for remote learning so that college students can learn closer to home. I'm inspired by our community and would be honored and humbled if given the opportunity to continue serving as your council member to make sure that Oakley is a safe place, a working place, and a fun recreational place for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin.
There are no free and easy paths in this world. I have worked hard and long through leadership positions in the city, county, and region to bring a face to a once dusty, unincorporated community known as Oakley. Those efforts are now beginning to provide dividends. More jobs are needed to help families remain connected. More police are needed to keep our unique designation as one of the safest cities in the state. More work needs to be done, not only to maintain the road system that we have, but to improve upon them. Next year will present many new challenges to our community. The first and most pressing will be deciding on how to plan for additional housing requirements across all income levels. These new numbers are mandated by the state, and the process to determine how many Oakley will need to plan for is happening now. Next year, we'll begin the process of dividing the city into districts for the 2022 election. As you may have observed from watching how other government entities have dealt with this issue, it is not a clean process. We have to make sure that our new neighbors on East Cypress and the older, more diversified communities in our downtown area are fairly represented, and that all of our communities have a say who will represent them in the future. As an experienced leader will need to be guided, an experienced leader will be needed to guide Oakley through these and other issues as we have moved forward. I can provide that leadership.
Thank you. George.
Yes, this forum has been heartwarming. It brings back why I like being in Oakley, why I like being in Brentwood. Ms. Roberts, if I may commend you. I don't know if anybody in the audience has recognized it, but she has had the answers and done the research before here. When I was saying what my expenses were, she was checking them off. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but she has been fabulous and well prepared, and I want to thank you. Greg Robertson, I had the opportunity to meet a little over a year ago he is with the Rotary Club of Brentwood. I'm with the Rotary Club of Oakley, and he is just a giving individual. He is just nonstop. What can it do? And the press. The example is he's got Halloween costumes going on, Halloween parties going on. I don't know. Every time I look in the paper, there's something going on. It's doing the extras. So I appreciate the press being here, and the Brentwood Chamber. Gregory, I have not had the pleasure of meeting them until now, but I'm glad we have. It shows what these towns are about, Brentwood, Oakley, and what's going about. Gregory mentioned maybe we could even look at coming together in Brentwood and Oakley chambers, but it's there. I would like to see us build on it. I think we need to bring integrity and trust both ways, and we'd like 3 new members on the council dais to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Conan. Hit the button.
I know, I got it. Yeah, thank you to everyone who participated tonight. This was an excellent event and an opportunity for us to share our views on the future of Oakley. I would have liked it to have been debate style, but I'll accept a forum. I think it's very clear that there are a number of different visions for the direction that Oakley will take. So I think that the choice is pretty clear to voters. Again, just to recap my visions for, or vision rather, singular, for the city, a new library to develop culturally, socially, economically, and provide local quality jobs. I think that we can get it funded by 2022. A planning commission, not as another level of bureaucracy, but a level of oversight that can guarantee that we move in a better direction and not just have interests of development guiding our decisions. Bringing quality jobs and developing a community where people move and stay here and live here and are happy to call Oakley their home. and a place where we can appreciate all the natural beauty that we have here in the Delta and work to preserve it as we develop and grow. Thanks again, and this has been a great experience.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you, Ruth. I'd like to thank Greg and the press and the chamber for hosting this. I'd like to thank Ruth for moderating this forum tonight. There's 3 issues that I am running on that I feel that are important to the future of the city of Oakley. Public safety is the first one. I believe we need to make sure that our police force, the size of our police force, is keeping up with the growth of our population. And I believe it's lagged. Like I pointed out and George pointed out, we're at 0.77 per 1,000 residents. And that to me is too low of a number. Economic development is another issue. We need to be adding jobs that are local for our citizens. Our housing to jobs ratio is way out of balance. With that, also, I'd like to work on a more defined vision for our downtown. And then the third item is working with the fire district to improve our fire response and explore what they've started in consolidating with Confire. I would appreciate you considering myself when you go to vote. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alexi.
Using this opportunity, I would like to thank all of you, our viewers, our moderator, our candidates, the press, Brentwood Chamber of Commerce, our wonderful residents of Oakley, and the people of our entire Delta region for making this part of Greater Bay Area an exceptional place to live and raise our families. I'm truly grateful for your passion, and I believe that Oakley is destined for a great future because of active and engaged residents like all of you. As a self-funded candidate, I'm not running to represent a private interest or agenda. I'm running for my family, and by that I mean my big, beautiful, diverse Oakley family that dreams big and deserves only the absolute best. I'm running for city council because I believe that it's time for Oakley to realize its full potential, and we must begin by solving the roots of the problems instead of putting the bandages on the consequences of the issues that got us to where we are today. It will require us to stir away from the road well traveled, where we aim to catch up and focus on being like other cities in our county and state. People of California are tired. They are leaving the Golden State to realize their dreams elsewhere. Same old business as usual is nothing more than mediocrity. Ladies and gentlemen, we must think different. We have to aim higher. I believe that we can, and we must look for a fresh approach to old problems by innovating how we conduct our city's functions, what businesses we attract to our region, and how we can make Oakley stand out and be cut above the rest while maintaining safety of our residents, their families, and property. My name is Alexi Chuka, and you can learn more about my values on my website, ocforoakley.com. Thank you for tuning in. Please vote, be active, stay healthy, and good night.
All right. Well, that takes us to the end of our evening. And I just want to say thank you to the candidates for their time and your thoughtful responses, and the audience for tuning in. We hope everyone enjoyed the event and found the evening to be informative and helpful in making your voting selections on November 3rd. So thank you again and good night.
Ruth, well, thank you so much for putting this on with us today. We really want to thank all of the candidates tonight who took time to come out and be with us to let the residents know who they are. I'd like to thank all the residents of Oakley for taking some time to come out and learning more and being part of the process of who's going to be the next city council people. Again, I can't thank Gerald from the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce enough for helping us with all the technology tonight. And Ruth, thank you for doing a great job being our moderator. Gerald, I know you wanted to say a couple words.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank, first of all, thank all the candidates for accepting me here. I know it's kind of a crazy thing to have the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce in Oakley, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we help put on this thing because I think we're neighbors and we have to work together. And I'm going to ask all the people who are in Oakley to go out there and vote for candidate of your choice. Help make the East Bay a better place to live, work, and play. And thank you so much. And hopefully we can get together and work together to help build the Oakley business community in the future. Thanks and have a great night. Thanks, Greg, the great Greg Robinson, and the press, and all of you great candidates. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Everybody, Gerald, if they missed it, let your friends know that this will be a live video on thepress.net tomorrow afternoon. So if you've missed it or you want to share it with somebody, you can do that. And good luck to all of the candidates. Get out there and go vote. Let your voice be heard. Thank you all. Good night. God bless and be safe.